So we're gonna get into it here. Austin Church, we can't see you, but you can still speak. You'll just be the voice
I'm
behind
here.
the curtain, I guess. Okay.
So
Um,
we are going
yeah.
to see a demo of this new functionality, which I have not even seen yet. So everyone here on the Moxie team, but Jeff, is looking at this for the first time. What I'm going to do as he just walks us through this is interrupt him from time to time with questions. I'm telling you all that now so you don't think that I'm rudely interrupting the CEO, but we're all just excited to see what the Wizard of Moxie is going to, uh, what he has for us here today. Sorry, I just called you the Wizard of Moxie. Someone stop me. Jeff, go. Please go.
I'm definitely gonna get a t-shirt that says that. Also, I just hate demos that are just people talking at you. So that's why I asked Austin just to ask questions to, you know, I've been looking at this for a while. So some things that seem obvious to me are not going to be obvious to others. So we're going to go over two new features today. They're tightly coupled, but also they can be used independently. We have the new agreement module, which everybody has been talking about in Facebook, and there's definitely no pressure for this not to suck. So thank you for all that. And then we have the new payment plan module, which allows you, it's another add-on to the invoicing features that you can use for fixed fee payments or per item projects, or just, if you want to collect 50% now and 50% in a month, you don't have to think about invoicing in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in the agreements, and then I'll set up the agreement so that it actually has a payment plan tied to it, and then we'll kind of roll into that feature as well. So
Nice.
We've changed a couple of things in the UI that are going to look a little bit different to you. Okay. Everybody can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Great. At least that worked. Okay. So we've done a couple of things here. We used to have like a card view on all of our agreements. The card layout you're not going to see anymore because it didn't work with the new agreement module that doesn't have like a fixed cover page. So some of that UI looks a little bit different. Still the same functionality where you can have templates with tokens and all that. We did add, this probably won't stay forever, but we did add a little V1 and V2 version to your list just so it's easier for you to see which is the new agreement module and which is the classic version as you're looking at your lists. So I need to make my screen a little bit bigger here. I have a pre-built agreement template that we're going to kind of go through, and then after I show off some of the features here, I'll show you what building one from scratch looks like. And we haven't launched any templates yet. There'll be 3 or 4 templates that'll be added before Monday, and then we'll keep adding more full featured templates to the library over the next month or two. But right now, we just needed to get the product out the door. Templates come next. So this will look familiar to you guys. All of our new modules have this left bar that's drag and drop, where you can grab something on the left and drag it over to the right. Up here, we've got a navigation that lets you choose whether you're managing the elements of the actual document. You also have, these are your settings that should also look familiar from some of like the invoice templates. But these are areas where you can choose the invoice template. So if your agreement automatically makes an invoice, you can choose which template you use. Confirmation emails was a big feature request for this. So after signature, you can automatically send a thank you email. After signature, you can redirect the user to a page, and you can also do a little pop-up it used like the old version kind of just like you signed it and it was anticlimactic and like nothing happened other than it said it was signed. So now you can do a little pop-up, redirect, confirmation email, and customize what invoice template gets sent out. So all nice features.
With those confirmation emails, will that automatically include a link or a PDF of like a signed agreement? What happens, like, or is it just like a kind of a plain text email?
So it's our email templates with tokens. So any functionality we have with the email templates, you'll see a new section in, I'll come back here in a second, but you'll see a new section here for tokens specific to the agreement. And so one of those tokens is the online URL, signer information, so you can address the email. Yeah, so it works with our regular email templates.
Nice.
And so PDF functionality had some performance issues, so that did not roll out, even though native PDF functionality is part of this bigger project. It just, we held it back. So hoping to get the native PDF stuff out hopefully in the next 2 weeks. We have to retool some of the image processing. It wasn't working well. So okay, so we've kind of gone through elements here. You know, a lot of these are self-explanatory, and you're gonna be familiar with them from either the previous agreement module or other parts of the product. Containers just allow you to like lay stuff out. Horizontal dividers and spacing allow you to control visual alignments, image, text, logo, legal terms. You can see is kind of the same thing that we had in the other documents. And then as we get into some of this new functionality, so services allows you to bundle your services, do add-ons, embed meeting schedulers, embed forms. Integrated payment is also exists in the current one. Payment plans, brand new, that allows you to split stuff up. And I'll kind of go through all these as we dive into the document in a minute here. We have some overall styles. This is new and really allows you to create consistency in your document. So you have, you know, H1, H2, H3, and then your paragraph. Each can have a different font size, line height, color. And so, yeah, just allows you to create nice consistency as you're working on your document. And then that's all integrated right into the rich text editor here as well.
Oh, nice. This looks really good, Jeff. I'm getting excited. I'm already like spinning, thinking about use cases, like especially with, I mean, it's kind of bigger than agreements, right? Because when I think about agreements, I think about legal agreements, but this is almost like a complete onboarding solution for clients in a way, because if I can have them sign whatever they need to sign, take payment, potentially authorize a credit card for, I'm stealing your thunder, aren't I? I'm gonna stop. But this is exciting.
It's fine. I'm also excited about it. And yeah, I don't like, I went back and forth around calling it like documents. I don't know that agreements is the right name. Maybe we'll rename it in the future. Maybe we'll put it to a vote in the Facebook group. But I agree with you. It's more, you know, it can be just an agreement for, you know, work that you're going to do, but it can also be the entire onboarding flow. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what it ends up being in 2 weeks. So we also have pages now. Obviously, you guys can see these pages. The title becomes important once the agreement gets finalized. It gives you a little index on the left, which you'll see in a second. So your clients can quickly navigate the document without getting lost.
Nice.
There's also this little plus minus zoom thing over here. This exists both in the builder and when you're viewing it as the client. One of the things, you know, we looked at a lot of the top proposal or agreement document builders out there, and we made the decision not to make these respond to screen size changes. So when I looked at all the nicest agreement documents, they didn't resize and create inconsistent results based on the browser. You know, they kind of had like the pinch to zoom or like a zoom in and out. And so we've kind of taken that same approach. And so our old agreements, you know, sometimes when you were looking at it on a smaller device or a mobile device, the alignment got all screwed up. It didn't look like the way you designed it. And so now, regardless of what device this document is being viewed on, you're going to see it exactly the way you laid it out. So there's pros and cons to that. I think the consistency when making beautiful documents is way more important than the responsiveness and, you know, making it all shrink and columnize. So
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
want to point out two things. Number one, right now we're looking at landscape. So obviously under orientation, if I want to, I can create this entire thing in portrait mode too. So it just is sort of a design preference that any of us can play around with. And then number two, where I see those curly brackets like client name, agreement name, and then even down in the other text, those are tokens, right? So I set those up elsewhere. And what that essentially means is once I have this new agreement template created and then I have my tokens created, Moxie automatically flows all of that in or merges all that. And so I just have that much less editing to do. Is that right?
Yep. A lot of those you don't even need to set up. So they're going to pull based on your client info, your workspace info. You know, you can kind of see the list of them in here. The idea is that you've already done the work to populate your CRM either manually or there's been a form fill or like a pipeline opportunity. But all this data should be there already by the time you get to the agreement phase, and you shouldn't have to do anything else.
Nice.
So let's switch this back to landscape. But yeah, you can switch, you know, so you can see we're kind of getting prepared for the native PDF functionality here. So US letter, A4 letter, portrait, landscape. These will be, you know, it'll make more sense when you're saving this as a PDF. It's still, I like choosing between portrait and landscape, even in online versions, but definitely makes more sense in a PDF. Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll kind of walk down.
So many more opportunities with like branding and design. And I do think that's really important with creating a really professional experience for clients.
Kathy, US letter is the 8.5 by 11. A4 is the international, the more widely used international paper size. Okay, so, you know, this is just a text block here. All of these, this will feel familiar if you've used the form builder or the invoice templates. You can control padding and alignment on all this stuff. So let's dive into packages now. So this is kind of an expansion of what we were doing in the old builder, but it's definitely a lot more flexible, a lot more feature rich, especially when it comes to add-ons and multiple selections, different packages. So you can use your tokens here. Each one of these has special tokens as well as the main account or the main document tokens. So these package tokens that you're looking at are isolated to this little block you're looking at. And so package.name means something on the right than it does on the left. And you can kind of see that in action there. And all of that drives from this little screen. This will feel really familiar. Projects, current agreements, choose how you want to monetize this package, set your price. There's all kinds of options depending on what you choose. And then down here, we've got this new add-on functionality that you can bring in. And Yeah. So, this interface, I don't know, could probably use a little bit of UX work. I'm not in love with it. I think, looking forward to hearing some early feedback on how you guys feel about the usability here. Maybe I've just been looking at it too long, but I think like at the end of the day, you can get it to do exactly what you want. Different pricing options, add-ons. One of the cool things that we have here is you can make these selections in your templates or before you send them to your client. And so when they get to your client, things can be pre-selected. And so if you want people to pick, your all-inclusive package, you can have that pre-selected for them. You can also choose to not have anything pre-selected. But it is kind of a nice feature because it shows, kind of what you think they should choose. Okay.
And so
So
just to clarify, I would create my packages elsewhere, but then if I'm creating a custom proposal or agreement for a new client, I can, and they need like a few extra line item things. That's when I would add like a custom add-on to a specific agreement, right?
yeah, or maybe you just have, you know, add-ons are kind of like, maybe you can choose like this is laid out. You can choose some minimal package and then add on what you want, or you can do it all inclusive. Like those may be both things that you do regularly. So it can be used both ways. And so this
Oh,
does, you can add packages directly to here, which you'll start from scratch, or you can import your saved packages from your other template area. So it integrates with all that if you have a bunch of stuff already set up.
this is so dope.
Okay.
And I know the cool kids still say dope.
So now we'll get into the new payment plan feature. And so you can see that these
Can I ask a couple
numbers
questions
over
from the
here.
chat
Yeah, go for it.
before you swap? Is it possible to have a proposal without the divisions the pages create?
Yeah. So the pages they'll just keep getting longer if you want them to get longer. So on this agreement one, you can see that's way longer than a landscape. So you can do like one page things if you want to, like if that's your style. And then, it'll just create different, it'll be a different experience when you print it because there'll be like mid-page line breaks when it goes to the printer, even if the PDF has like one big page. So just if you don't care about printing, which I personally don't think many people are actually printing documents these days, then you can just do one long page.
And then the other question was, is it possible to make an agreement public so that I can share a link and multiple people can complete it and make payments?
So that is like we've laid the foundation for having one of these be not associated with a client initially. So all the framework is there. It's not released today. But we do recognize that people want to like put these things out there and use it as a sign up. Maybe your first contact with this individual is this document. So not today, but we did lay the foundational work to do that.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, so payment plans. You'll see this is in this agreements. And then as we also go look at the new invoice functionality, you'll see a very similar UI. You give it a label. You can choose, go away. No. You can choose what's going to trigger the payment plan. So we really like upon signature is relevant only to your agreements. And that basically means that the first tranche is going to be due right when it gets signed. But then you also have date-based and milestone-based events. And a date, you can just set a date into the future. Milestone, you actually need to like click the button to say, I've accomplished this milestone, and then it goes and invoices the next tranche. And then you can set up either like you can do fixed amounts or percentages on which each tranche, and then the final payment, you can adjust the percent or amount because it just will invoice for whatever's left after all of your previous tranches. And so, yeah, we'll kind of dive into that a little more when we go look at the document. This should feel similar. This is going to be your credit card entry. We have that today. Now we're getting into some cool integration with other parts of the platform. We've got embedded meeting schedulers. And so you get some basic styling, and then you just get to pick from all of your pre-configured meeting schedulers that you've already taken the time to build. You can choose to show the info panel or not, depending on the use case. You might want to show the left panel. I kind of like it because it shows what type of meeting it is and you don't have to re-enter that, but totally personal preference. We also have the same thing with forms. You can embed a form right in here. The data will be captured. It'll create a form entry just like usual, but then it'll also be all contained in the agreement for you. So pretty nice integrations. All this stuff can be merged back to the client when it gets signed. So like if you maybe don't have their full address or tax ID, you can ask for that stuff in here and it'll all get merged back in once the agreement gets executed.
Dang. So they put their information into the form that gets auto added to their contact in the address book or the CRM.
Yep. So you can choose whether you want it to merge or not. So if you know you're creating a form that you're getting information from a client that you don't have today, you can say just merge this right to the client record. Address, website, whatever you need. And that kind of goes
Nice.
back to where we're laying the foundation for this being a public document that actually creates that initial relationship with the client. Okay, so I'm in a template builder here. So let's save this and go out and actually use it on a client.
While you're
So
going through that,
go,
do you want to answer any plans to repurpose the builder to allow creating custom pages for the client portal and the create front end? I'm sorry if I butchered your question.
yeah. I think we just need to, like, right now we just have like the pre-built layout in there with the text field. I think if we just move some of this new builder functionality that we've made for invoices and agreements over there, it'll probably solve it. Like, I don't know that we need to embed agreements into the portal. I think we just need to bring some of this design and layout stuff into those custom pages. So it is on the list. Okay, so when you go to send an agreement now, you're going to see two tabs here for the time being. Eventually, we'll start to deprecate the classic agreements. We will be building a migration tool where you can take an old agreement template and convert it to a new one. I want to get through the first round of feedback here and make sure nothing big is going to change before we do that. But we will provide a migration path for existing templates to new templates. Once we do that, then we'll start to like not show the classic version of agreements so prominently. But you can still, I don't suggest anybody sends one of these out to their client today. Like, do some testing, make sure you understand how it all works, then get into it. If you need to send an agreement out today, probably stick with the old one. But you'll see this changed a little bit here. You now see your templates in a little drop down instead of taking you to another window. So yeah, we'll start from the save template. And you can see now, Austin, going back to your other question, all of these tokens that used to be just tokens now are replaced by my workspace name and the client's name. And you can see, even when you click into them, you can still see the tokens and you can use tokens throughout. But as soon as it's in like preview mode, the tokens will render correctly. Okay, so I'm not actually going to pay myself when we go sign this, so I'm going to delete this block for now. Everything else looks good. So this is another kind of new concept here. These documents support multiple client signers and multiple workspace signers. So you can, I only have one contact on this, but any contact for the client can be added as a signer, and then they just kind of stack up on the bottom. So you can require, I know a lot of people have asked, especially with when doing business with partnerships, sometimes they require both partners to sign the contracts. So that's now possible. Another thing that is a little bit different, we now require you to sign your agreement before sending it. And so, first of all, it's best practice to send, when you're the vendor in the relationship, it's best practice to send a signed agreement so that you've already signed it, they sign it, and then it's done. Also, from a technical standpoint, this added more ability for us to do things as soon as the client signed it. So like charging the card. Previously, we would put a hold on the card, and if you didn't go in and sign it, then the hold could expire if you didn't notice. Like, usually within 72 hours, Stripe will put a hold on a card. So there were like some technical reasons why it makes sense to make sure you sign it first. And so, if you try to share a document that you haven't signed, you'll just get a little warning that everybody from your organization needs to sign before you can send it to the client. So
when there are multiple people on the client side who need to sign the agreement, will the same link work for all the signers, or what happens after one person signs?
Yep. So everybody gets their own link now, and we'll see that in a second here. So what this is showing me is there's only one signer on this document, but if you had multiple client signers, you'd see both of them in here, and each would have their own link. And basically that tells the system, when you're actually viewing it from the client's perspective, which signer box to highlight here. And so you do have a public, quote unquote, public version that's not associated with any signer. They can view the document, but they're not going to be able to sign on anyone's behalf.
Gotcha. Nice.
It also lets us do fun things like tracking which, if there's multiple signers, you can see exactly which of them viewed the document at what time. So we've got some tracking here that they actually viewed the doc. So we will, yes, Lisa. So I'll show that real quick. So you can see that we leave these, even when you're looking at the document here, about to send the email, some of these tokens won't be replaced immediately. And so we basically will go through and replace these when you hit send, and make sure that everybody gets an email just with their own link in it. And then you'll be BCC'd on it as well. So you'll get to see the emails that go out to your clients. But yeah,
Nice.
So they'll each get their own. Okay. And so I guess I should have mentioned, now that we're in this sent mode, we do see the page names up here. And so these are clickable, allow you to go through the document. Yeah, so that's what the page name feature was actually doing. And so it does similar stuff as you click on finish signing. Like if you haven't selected a package and a package is required, it'll just take you right to that page, give it a little red outline saying, hey, you need to do something here. Due to we tried to stay away from doing any prompts with like anything that is written, because we want this to be able to be used in as many languages as makes sense. And so we're trying to just stick with visual cues as to what needs to happen here. So we go ahead and pick it.
Wait, are you are you clicking around? Your screen is frozen for me. Is that true for everyone else? I'm just seeing your proposal.
Oh, I see. Hold on. I think it's because it's sharing a specific tab. Let's see if I change this. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So now let me just start that over. Okay. So now this is the client view of this document, which will look exactly like your view, except you get this little finish signing thing here. So you click it and it'll go to whatever element hasn't been completed yet. And so like if you haven't selected a package, it'll just scroll to the package selector, give it a little error outline. And so that's what I was talking about, the visual cue instead of like text saying like you must pick a package. Maybe we'll add text-based prompts, but it seemed like the visual stuff will probably get people pointed in the right direction. Yes, Lindsay, you can. So you can drag and drop. I'll go back to it in a second, but in the text editor, you can drag and drop images into the text area and it'll embed them right into the package area. You can do that in pretty much all of our text editors. Okay, so you see here your payment plan is updating dynamically, which is pretty cool. Depending on the package selections, it's telling them what to expect, which is nice. We're going to go ahead and we're going to book a meeting here. And we're going to go ahead and, oh yeah, so this is one other thing. I don't have a signature on my desktop, but you guys can now drag and drop. If you click on the draw signature and you have like your own fancy signature that you've done in Photoshop or Illustrator, you can drag it into this signature box and it'll use your PNG or JPEG version.
Oh, nice.
I know that we were asked for that.
I think we can see now why it took you a couple of hours to build this.
Okay, so we finished everything. Now we can click this. This is that little pop-up that we configured in the settings screen. And then it's going to redirect to the page that I asked it to. So much nicer post-signature experience to kind of put a bow on things and not just leave the client hanging going, okay, I did it, what now?
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah, like
so
you
let's
could
go back
embed a
over
video
here.
on that page and say thank you.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so we go over here. This is now showing as fully executed. We can go in here. All of these get locked, but the UI is the same. So you can very easily, when you're going back and looking at agreements with clients, you can very easily see what they've selected. The meeting info gets embedded directly in here, and this will be updated in real time. So like if the meeting gets rescheduled or canceled, what is in this document will always reflect the most current information. Forms are the same thing. I didn't show a form, but if you have a form in your document, you'll be able to see it all in here, and then, click through the pages and see all the answers. So yeah, I mean, that's the signed document. And then when we look at the things that happened, just like usual, we create the project with the appropriate pricing that gets tracked out to the invoices. Depending on whether what type of project you had the fee structure set up as, will drive what the fees are. We have the first invoice that was sent out. This could have been paid if I left that credit card box in there and I put in payment info. This would have been a fully paid invoice from the get-go. But instead it's waiting for the client to pay. And so some things that are new here, we have when an invoice is associated with a payment plan, you see the entire scope of the payment plan in the invoice. So
Nice.
some platforms have like one big invoice that you make multiple payments on, but that's a huge problem for a lot of businesses. A lot of like more enterprise companies can't pay the same invoice more than one time, and they don't like submitting partial payment invoices. And so we've taken a different approach that as you go through the payment plan, each payment will create its own invoice. So when it goes into the ERP system at your enterprise client's accounts payable team, like there's no confusion. And then this gives everybody clarity on exactly where they are. And so any payment plan that's already been invoiced will have the date and invoice number. If you're looking at the invoice referenced, it'll have this little arrow letting you know that like you are here. So this screen has kind of been retooled a bit. It used to have like that weird recurring invoices expansion. It's now its own tab here. And then payment plans are where your actual definition of your payment plan is. And so you can see the next step in this payment plan is the midway check-in. The last activity was the invoice that was just created. You can open this up and you can see that this one has already been processed. And then if you want to process the next one, you just come in here and you check. Oop. Yep. Done. And now it's automatically made the next invoice for you and sent it to the client. And you can control like all the same things, send automatically. You can do auto charges, kind of similar functionality to what the recurring invoices have, but just around payment plans. And then anything that's already been invoiced, obviously you can't change. So those will be grayed out. You could add another payment event here if maybe you wanted to split this in half. But
Ooh, that's
So-
nice. So like if scope changes partway through the project and there's some sort of additional work needed, then you would just add another payment event for the additional scope.
yeah, so you can add more money to this, right? And it'll readjust things and make sure that you get paid appropriately. And then, it's probably, because you're going to have like those old invoices that have that data locked in, it's probably not best to like change a payment plan once invoices have been sent out, because then like the historical tracking will not look correct. I would suggest just doing an extra invoice and leaving this kind of locked into what was originally agreed on. So, but you could
Nice.
change it if you want. Yeah, and then these will, if you have a date here, you don't have to do anything. So on that date, the automatic invoice will get generated. It'll get sent. It'll auto charge if you want it to on the due date. Miriam, you can choose. You can put whatever payment instructions you want. If you have Stripe and PayPal, they'll automatically be enabled. And then you can put payment instructions in your invoice or invoice template to tell them how you want to get paid. Okay, so payment plans can be used by themselves. They don't have to be used by, through an agreement, you can, when you click in the plus on invoices now, you'll have one new option here. And you can choose to just start a payment plan from scratch. And so if you just, you have a project you're going to do for somebody and you want 50% now and 50% in 2 weeks, you can just set this up, hit save, activate it, send your first invoice, and then on December 15th, your second invoice will automatically go out. So this is, it looks like a lot of our other invoicing stuff, but hopefully it saves you guys a lot of headache trying to remember to send that last invoice. And even if you do dates, you can always click and accelerate and just do the final, like you can override the date and send it today if you want to by clicking the milestone button up here. Okay, so I think like that kind of went over everything. So in regards to workflows, we haven't integrated the new agreements or payment plans into workflows yet. That's gonna come. So yes, the answer is absolutely you will be able to invoice from a payment, like generate a payment plan in a workflow so it automatically happens. So, but yeah, first, like there's a lot of nuances in how things get integrated into workflows. So we want to let you guys play with this stuff for a couple weeks, get some good feedback, make sure we didn't miss anything big in terms of feature functionality in both payment plans and agreements. And then we'll do the integration back into sales pipeline and the workflow automation stuff. So soon.
Nice. But the foundation has been laid, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's like we could do it. I don't want to, like, if we decide to change the way that payment plans get defined or like how the order of them gets processed, and we're going to like rebuild that in workflows. I just didn't want to have people start building workflows that then broke if we decided to change something. So.
Well, big high fives, Jeff. Like that was freaking amazing. If you want to go back and read the chat later, I think wow. That's all I can really say is wow. And my mind's just buzzing because I'm thinking, okay, got some work to do this weekend to get this built out,
So there is one thing, I've showed you this agreement took me about, I don't know, 5 minutes to build. When you go in and you hit new, it's going to be this really sad blank screen. So I apologize for that. You'll have to just start from scratch. And then, like I said, we're going to have 3 templates out before the end of the weekend, just to give you starting points. So you're not like starting at a truly blank slate. And then we will be rolling out like an actual like a template library where we'll have templates for graphic designers, templates for consultants, templates for interior designers. Like we'll just keep building those out now that we have this new module, and you'll be able to select from our library and just import and then customize. Yes, Jonathan, web designers too, you guys make up a huge chunk of our active user base, so you will not be forgotten. And then one of the things we've been playing with, which we can pick up this conversation in the Facebook group, is creating like an ecosystem where you guys can create templates for forms, agreements, invoice templates, and like maybe we build out like a marketplace where you can sell your templates on the marketplace and other users can buy them from you directly through the Moxie template marketplace. So I think that it is going to happen. I just don't know when, because it sounds like the marketplace would be pretty awesome. Yes, also with, yeah, so the marketplace we would enable for workflows, forms, invoice templates, and agreement templates. So
Yeah, I love that idea.
Do you want to do some Q&A quick-ish?
sure.
I'm just going to start at the top here. I think you showed this. Can you do main packages on one page and add-ons on another page? So you have two sections of package selection.
So you can, but the add-ons are an add-on to a package. They're not just like, if you want it, you could add more of these. I mean, you can add as many like service blocks as you want. So you can make this optional, and then you can add another one down here, and these will be independent of each other. And like this one, you can have two options that are dependent on each other, and this one down here is all by itself. So you can like mix and match these things to get whatever you want. And then the add-ons are within the scope of one of these. But you can use these as add-ons, right? So you can use a whole package as an add-on, depending on how you want to
Nice.
structure things.
If we add to the client's invoice, will the payment plan, sorry, you answered that one. Will the payment plan auto calculate the remaining amount due? I think you did show that after this question came in. Sorry. Do we have an iframe, or will we have it available also?
Like as a widget to drop into a document. I think we were just talking about that on Facebook. We don't have it today, but it seems like low-hanging fruit to let you guys bring in external stuff into the document.
Is there a limit on payment plans? How many little bits they can pay in?
Nope. Nope. No limit.
Will the payment plan show in the client's portal as well?
So they'll see them on each of the invoices that are part of the payment plan will show the payment plan. We haven't thought about showing it as like a separate entity in the client portal, but happy to build stuff if you guys feel like it makes sense to add to the client portal.
Is it possible to auto charge recurring invoices with PayPal?
No, it's not, and I'm not sure that we're going to go down that path. PayPal interfaces for doing non-interactive payments is, in my experience, it doesn't work very well. But maybe I don't have great experience with PayPal in general, so I don't like them. They're like the worst payment processing company on earth.
My least favorite. With milestones, by clicking a task is complete within the project, will that check off the milestone?
No, the milestones are based, like you have to go into the payment plan and like say the next milestone has been completed. So there's no direct correlation between a task and a milestone.
I think you answered this as well. Adding in custom HTML, CSS. I think you talked about that already.
Yeah, I think if we do the iframe, I can't remember if we enabled it in here. Let me see. So we do have so you have the raw HTML editor right here. So any of the text inputs, you can just go in and paste HTML.
Someone had asked if you could add auto sign on your behalf.
Yeah, so if you can sign the template. And so if you sign the template, when you create a new agreement, it'll come over as signed. So you don't have to manually sign everything.
Nice. And then is there ability through Zapier to have stuff happen based on packages or add-ons that are selected?
I mean,
guess
you'll
that's
get
probably
all of the
native.
information. Yeah, you'll get all of the information about which packages were selected. So you would just have to build out the logic accordingly in Zapier to like look for which one has the selected flag.
Cool. I think we got through all the questions.
Somebody else just has something. Oh, Daniel, you're talking about the like when you log into Moxie as a user. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying. I think, one of the things that came up this year that we're probably gonna tackle like in Q1 is the concept of like standard operating procedures inside of Moxie. And so maybe some of that will flow, like we can enable some of that to flow into that group, like, or into that page. So some of your SOPs and like relevant information for your team they can start there instead of just our generic lender page. So yeah.
And then Kathy, we will
I
post
understand
this
the use case.
in the Facebook group as well. You'll also get an email right after this with the full recording.
Dang.
Okay, so this is all available in your workspaces today. It's listed as beta because, we just wrote a whole lot of code and I'm sure you guys will find some bugs. We're going to put a new category in the feedback site for beta feedback just for these two modules. So I'll share those links in the Facebook group. And then as you guys, like if you find bugs or you find things that, you think could be improved on, post them directly into that correct category in the feedback site so that we can keep everything organized. Yeah. Thanks for checking out the new features. Thanks for asking
Amazing.
questions, Austin. That made it less boring.
Thanks for not sleeping, Jeff.